Morning arrived quietly on the station, the soft glow of the distant planet reflecting through the reinforced windows. Ethan awoke with a start, instinctively reaching for the monitors. He scanned the sensors and was relieved to find no immediate threats. The alien fleet that had pursued Lyra for days had not returned overnight, but he knew better than to assume they were safe for long. Patience and preparation were their only real defenses. Lyra stirred beside him, her glowing form radiating warmth. She had grown more comfortable with the station, exploring its nooks and crannies and learning its systems. Her alien curiosity had become a constant source of fascination for Ethan, and he watched her with quiet pride. She was learning, adapting, and becoming more confident in her abilities. And he realized that in helping her, he had discovered an even deeper aspect of humanity, the ability to inspire courage and trust, even across species. "Good morning," Ethan said softly. Lyra's eyes flicked open, and she emitted a small musical sound, the closest approximation of a greeting he had heard from her. They had developed this simple communication over the past days, gestures and sounds carrying more meaning than words alone. Ethan smiled. "We need to prepare. The fleet might come back today." Lyra rose gracefully, her movements fluid and precise. She touched the control panels, her hands hovering over the systems as if reading their energy flows directly. Ethan observed her carefully, noting how she enhanced the station's shields and communications. Her abilities were extraordinary, but it was their teamwork, the combination of human strategy and alien intuition, that had made them formidable. The hours passed in tense preparation. Ethan designed complex energy grids and decoys, rerouting power to maximize defensive capabilities. Lyra followed his guidance, adding subtle adjustments that amplified the effectiveness of every system. They moved like a synchronized team, anticipating each other's actions without needing to speak. Every pulse of energy, every flicker of light became a part of their unspoken communication. By midday, the alien fleet had returned, larger and more coordinated than before. Ethan watched as the first ship approached, scanning for weaknesses. He activated the decoys, sending false signals across the sensors. Lyra's hands hovered over the controls, guiding energy flows with precision. The alien vessel hesitated, confused by the illusions and the harmonized pulses. Ethan realized once again that this was not just a battle of technology. It was a battle of intelligence, strategy, and adaptability. The fleet advanced cautiously, but every attack was anticipated. Ethan directed the drones and traps he had prepared, while Lyra adjusted energy fields to create disruptions. The combination of human planning and alien intuition turned the station into a maze of deceptive signals. One by one, the alien ships found themselves unable to target the station accurately, their weapons firing into empty space. During a lull in the conflict, Ethan observed Lyra closely. She had become more attuned to human behavior, mimicking gestures and understanding strategies with remarkable speed. But she had also taught him something invaluable: patience, observation, and the importance of intuition. Humans could adapt and create, but she reminded him that perception beyond logic could turn the tide in unexpected ways. The battle escalated as a larger ship attempted a direct assault on the station's main shield generator. Ethan activated an emergency protocol directing all power to reinforce the shields. Lyra stepped closer to the console, her energy pulsing stronger than ever. The alien beam struck, but her presence absorbed and dispersed the attack, stabilizing the generator. Ethan exhaled in relief. Their synergy had prevented disaster once again. As the engagement continued, Ethan noticed something unusual on the sensors. One of the alien vessels was acting erratically, deviating from the formation. He signaled Lyra, and she adjusted her energy pulses to focus on the outlier. The ship faltered, its systems disrupted by a combination of human strategy and alien resonance. It veered off course and eventually retreated. Ethan realized that their ingenuity had not only defended the station, but had forced the enemy to reconsider their approach entirely. Hours passed, and the alien fleet eventually retreated completely. Ethan and Lyra allowed themselves a brief moment of relief. The station was intact, their systems had survived, and most importantly, they had outsmarted a technologically superior foe. Ethan looked at Lyra, her glow softening as she observed him. "We did it," he said quietly. She responded with a gentle hum, her way of sharing relief and satisfaction. After the battle, Ethan focused on repairs and recovery. Lyra assisted eagerly, learning more about human tools and engineering practices. She was fascinated by the simplicity and complexity of human designs, asking questions through gestures and symbols. Ethan explained patiently, showing her how circuits worked, how energy flowed, and how to troubleshoot problems. Her understanding grew rapidly, and he realized that she was no longer just a survivor. She was becoming a true partner, capable of independent thought and action. Over the next few days, they worked together to strengthen the station further. Ethan taught Lyra about human tactics, improvisation, and problem-solving, while she demonstrated her unique abilities in energy manipulation. They explored ways to combine their strengths, creating systems that were more efficient, resilient, and adaptive than either could have achieved alone. It was not just survival, it was growth, learning, and discovery. Ethan also realized that Lyra's presence had changed him. He felt more confident, more patient, and more aware of the potential within humans. The experience had reinforced a fundamental truth. Ingenuity, courage, and empathy were humanity's greatest tools. Technology could be copied, strength could be matched, but the ability to think creatively, adapt quickly, and inspire trust was unmatched. Lyra had reminded him of that, and he was grateful. One evening, as they observed the distant stars from the observation deck, Ethan spoke softly. "Your world. It must have been hard to leave it behind. I can't imagine what you've been through." Lyra's glow flickered as she responded, placing a hand near his in a gesture of connection. She had lost much, yet she had survived, adapting to a completely new environment. Ethan admired her resilience and felt a deep respect for her courage. He thought about the future. The alien threat might return, but they were prepared. They had proven that intelligence, collaboration, and trust could overcome even overwhelming odds. He also knew that this experience would shape both of them in ways they had yet to understand. Lyra had learned about human ingenuity, and he had learned about alien intuition and energy manipulation. Together, they had created something stronger than the sum of their parts. Days turned into weeks, and life aboard the station settled into a new rhythm. Ethan and Lyra continued to train, explore, and refine the station's systems. Their bond deepened, built on shared experiences, mutual respect, and trust. Lyra's curiosity remained insatiable, and Ethan found himself inspired by her approach to learning and problem-solving. They had become a true team, capable of facing challenges that neither could have managed alone. Eventually, Ethan began exploring ways to communicate with Lyra more effectively. They developed a series of symbols and gestures that represented complex ideas, emotions, and strategies. Lyra learned quickly, and their understanding of each other became almost instinctive. Ethan realized that language was just one form of communication. Trust, observation, and shared experience could convey far more. One day, while reviewing the station's logs, Ethan discovered something remarkable. Lyra's energy patterns had the potential to enhance the station's systems far beyond their current capacity. With careful calibration, they could improve shield strength, energy distribution, and even sensor efficiency. He shared the idea with Lyra, who responded with excited gestures and glowing pulses. Together, they began experimenting, carefully integrating her abilities into the station's infrastructure. The results were astonishing. By the end of their work, the station was more robust, adaptive, and efficient than Ethan had ever imagined. It had become a testament to the power of cooperation between species and the ingenuity of humans. Lyra's presence had transformed it from a simple outpost into a resilient fortress, capable of withstanding threats that once seemed insurmountable. Ethan looked at her, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. "We did it together," he said. Lyra responded with a soft, melodic sound, her glow pulsing gently. They had survived, learned, and grown. More importantly, they had forged a bond that transcended worlds, a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared purpose. As the station's artificial night cycle began, Ethan and Lyra settled near the observation deck. They watched the distant stars, silent but connected, reflecting on everything they had experienced. The alien fleet was still out there, but for the first time Ethan felt truly confident that they could face whatever came next. Not because of weapons or technology alone, but because they had learned to combine the best of human ingenuity with alien abilities, creating something stronger than either could achieve alone. Ethan realized that this partnership was more than survival. It was hope. Humanity's greatest strength was not merely technology, but creativity, courage, and the ability to inspire trust and loyalty. Lyra had reminded him of that, and together, the planet was colder than any place Alex had ever known. Its sky glowed faintly with blue and purple streaks, as if the northern lights had decided to live permanently overhead. Snow stretched endlessly, a frozen ocean that swallowed the horizon. The wind cut through the layers of his jacket, sharp and relentless, but he kept moving. He had a mission, and stopping wasn't an option. Alex was not alone. From the corner of his vision, he noticed a small figure struggling through the deep snow. She moved awkwardly, her legs sinking into the frost with each step. Her skin shimmered faintly under the alien light, pale like the snow around them, and her large eyes held a nervous intelligence. He knew immediately she was not human. "Are you okay?" Alex called, his voice muffled by the cold air and layers of clothing. The figure froze and turned toward him. For a moment she just stared, and then she took a cautious step forward. I think so," she whispered. Her voice was soft, but there was a hint of desperation in it. She was clearly exhausted, her movements jerky, uncoordinated in the harsh terrain. Alex didn't hesitate. He moved closer, offering a hand. "Come on, you need help. You can't make it alone out here." She hesitated again, looking around as if the cold itself were a predator waiting to pounce. Finally, she took his hand and he felt the faint warmth of her skin, surprisingly comforting in the freezing air. They walked together, him supporting her through drifts that reached his knees. As they went, Alex tried to learn more about her. "What's your name?" he asked. "I don't remember everything," she admitted. Her accent was strange, musical in a way that made his ears tingle. "I call myself Lyra." Lyra. The name suited her, he thought. It was soft, light, almost like the wind itself. He could see that she was frightened, but there was also a quiet strength in the way she kept moving forward. "Where are you from, Lyra?" he asked. She looked down at her hands. I came from far away. I was exploring, then something went wrong." She shivered violently, not just from the cold, but from the memory. Alex could sense it. The snow continued to fall in heavy sheets, each flake sharp against their faces. Alex's teeth chattered as he adjusted his scarf. The temperature had dropped again. He realized that staying outside much longer would be dangerous for both of them. "There's a shelter not far from here," he said. "You need warmth." "Come with me." Lyra nodded silently. She trusted him, though he barely knew her. They trudged on, the snow growing deeper with each step. Alex could feel his own energy waning, but he refused to stop. Not while she depended on him. Finally, in the distance, a faint glow appeared. It was small, almost hidden behind a ridge, but it was enough to give them hope. The shelter. Alex's heart lifted slightly. They were close. As they approached, Lyra stumbled. Alex caught her immediately, holding her close so she wouldn't fall. "It's okay. I've got you," he said firmly. She leaned into him, her arms weakly resting against his shoulders, and he could feel the chill leaving her body very slowly. Once inside the shelter, the warmth hit them both like a wave. A soft hum of machinery filled the space, and the walls glowed with gentle light. Lyra's eyes widened as she looked around, taking in the simple yet functional design. Alex helped her sit on a bench near a small heater. "You're safe now," he said, removing his gloves and rubbing his hands together. "Just relax for a while. You need energy." Lyra nodded again, her eyes scanning the room, curious but wary. She seemed to sense that he meant no harm, that he was someone she could trust in this cold, dangerous world. After a few minutes, she spoke softly. "Thank you for helping me." Her voice was quieter now, calmer, almost tired. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't found me." Alex shook his head. "Don't thank me yet. We're not out of danger. This planet, it's unforgiving. But we'll manage together." Her eyes met his, and for a moment there was a silent understanding. She was fragile, yes, but also capable. He could see it in her gaze, a spark of resilience that had kept her alive this long. He stood and began checking the supplies in the shelter. There were basic rations, water containers, and energy packs. Not much, but enough for them to survive the night. He handed her a small packet of food, and she took it, eating slowly as if savoring each bite. "I don't know how long I was out there," she admitted, looking down at her hands. "Time, it felt strange. Don't worry about that now, Alex said. Focus on staying warm and rested. We'll figure out everything else later. The night stretched on, the wind howling outside like some ancient creature trying to claim the planet. Inside the shelter, the heater hummed steadily, and Lyra leaned back, her head resting against the wall. She seemed to relax slightly, and Alex felt a small sense of relief. Hours passed. Alex kept watch near the entrance, listening to the wind, feeling the subtle shifts in the temperature. Every so often, he glanced at Lyra. She had closed her eyes now, breathing evenly, her small frame curled slightly for warmth. He realized something then. It wasn't just about keeping her alive. There was something human in this moment, something deeply instinctive that made him want to protect her. Perhaps it was the fact that she reminded him of the vulnerability that people usually hid in the face of danger. Perhaps it was just instinct. Either way, he was committed. The next morning, the storm outside had calmed, leaving the snow sparkling under the alien sky. Lyra was awake now, stretching slowly, and Alex could see the stiffness in her movements from the cold. "We should move," he said. "Stay here too long and we risk getting trapped again. There's a safe zone not far from here. Other people, other humans. We'll find help there." Lyra nodded, standing and brushing the frost off her clothes. She seemed stronger now, more composed. I can do this," she said. Her voice carried more confidence than the day before. "With you?" Alex smiled slightly. "Good. We'll face it together." They stepped out into the snow, leaving the small shelter behind. The sky was clearer now, the alien colors reflecting off the frozen landscape in dazzling patterns. The journey would not be easy, but both of them felt something that kept them going: trust, companionship, and the determination to survive. As they walked, Lyra glanced at Alex. "You're different from the others," she said quietly. "Most humans, they would have left me out there." Alex shook his head. "Not me, I don't leave people behind. Not anymore." She smiled faintly, a little warmth returning to her face. They continued side by side, moving toward the distant safe zone. The wind no longer felt as harsh, and the cold seemed slightly less intimidating with each step. For the first time since she had arrived on this planet, Lyra felt hope. And for Alex, something stirred inside him too. A sense of purpose beyond survival, beyond mission or duty. Together, they would face the challenges of this frozen world. Together, they would survive, and perhaps in time, they would discover something far greater than warmth or shelter. They would discover trust, friendship, and the remarkable strength that humans could inspire in others, even across the stars. The snow under their boots crunched loudly as Alex and Lyra moved forward across the frozen landscape. The sky above had cleared, revealing a faint sunlight glow that barely warmed the ground. Each step was slow and deliberate, sinking into soft drifts, but both of them pressed on. There was no choice. Survival depended on it. Lyra had grown more confident since the night in the shelter. She walked taller, though her eyes still darted toward shadows and distant ridges, wary of the unknown. Alex noticed it but didn't comment. He understood. This planet was foreign, unpredictable, and dangerous. Trust had to be earned not only between humans and aliens, but with the world itself. "You ever been somewhere so cold it feels like it wants to freeze your bones?" Alex asked, trying to break the silence. Lyra's lips curled into a faint smile. "I have not. My world was warmer. I never imagined a place like this." Her voice carried a soft musical quality, almost like a song when she spoke. Alex realized that even her fear didn't mask the beauty of her tone. He glanced down at her, noticing the way she adjusted the scarf around her neck, trying to shield herself from the wind. "This isn't like anything back home. You'll learn fast that you need more than courage to survive here." She nodded, eyes scanning the horizon. "I want to learn. I want to understand," and there it was, the spark that had kept her alive so far. Not fear, not desperation, but curiosity. Even in the harshest environment, that spark refused to die. Alex felt a quiet admiration. Humans were resilient, yes, but Lyra's determination, though alien, mirrored it. They walked in silence for a while, letting the wind fill the gaps between their words. Alex took the lead, carefully choosing paths that avoided the worst drifts and hidden cracks. He had learned quickly that appearances could be deceiving in snow. What looked like solid ground could hide a pit or a dangerous ice crevice. After several hours, they spotted something unusual, A structure partially buried in snow. Its shape was odd, angular, and unlike anything Alex had seen on Earth. It looked abandoned but sturdy enough to offer temporary refuge. "Let's check that out," Alex suggested, pointing toward it. It could be a shelter, or at least better than walking in open snow. Lyra's eyes lit up with cautious hope. "Do you think someone might still be here?" Alex shook his head. "If they are, we'll be careful. But even if it's empty, it's better than this open field." They approached the structure, moving slowly. The closer they got, the more Alex realized it was indeed old but functional. It was made of some metal alloy that reflected the pale sunlight, with a doorway partially blocked by ice. He pushed it open with a grunt, and the inside revealed a small, dusty room. There was a bench along one wall and a container that probably once held water. Lyra entered cautiously, stepping over frost and debris. Her fingers brushed against the walls, and she hummed softly, almost in wonder. "It is different from my home," she said, "but safe. For now." Alex nodded, moving to clear a small space near the doorway. He set down the remaining supplies from their previous shelter, letting Lyra rest while he checked the environment. "We'll stay here until the sun goes lower. Then we keep moving. We can't linger too long." Lyra watched him silently. There was trust in her gaze now, a quiet acknowledgement that he was reliable. It made Alex feel a sense of responsibility heavier than any he had felt before. He had protected humans before, but this felt different. Protecting someone from an entirely alien world, someone with a completely different life, was not just about survival. It was about bridging understanding. Hours passed. They rationed food, and the heat from their small body warmth combined with the shelter's residual insulation kept them alive. Outside, the wind howled in lonely wails, but inside, the space was calm. "Alex?" Lyra asked finally, breaking the quiet. "Yes? Why help me?" "You don't even know me." Alex paused, considering his answer. "Because no one should be left out there to face this alone. Anyone in trouble, I can't just walk away. It's not about knowing them. It's about doing what's right." Lyra looked at him, her large eyes reflecting surprise and something deeper. Gratitude, perhaps even awe. "Humans, you are different from what I expected," she said softly. He smiled slightly. "I get that a lot. But enough about me. You need rest, Lyra. Tomorrow we move again. The safe zone isn't far, but we can't underestimate this planet." Night fell and the temperature dropped again. They huddled together for warmth, Alex covering both of them with a thick thermal blanket he had carried. Lyra rested against him, not in fear but in trust. He could feel her small breath steadying as she slept, and he thought about how fragile yet strong she was. Somehow, despite everything, she had endured. Morning came with a frozen silence, the world bright and sparkling under the alien sun. Alex checked their supplies again and handed Lyra a water container. "Drink. We'll need energy for the journey." She drank carefully, then looked at him with determination. "I'm ready," she said. "Lead the way." Their journey resumed. The frozen fields stretched endlessly, dotted with strange rock formations that looked like the bones of some giant creature. Alex led cautiously, marking the path and avoiding unstable surfaces. Lyra followed closely, learning quickly how to navigate the treacherous terrain. By midday, the landscape began to change. The snow became shallower, revealing patches of frozen grass-like plants and odd crystalline structures that refracted light in dazzling patterns. Lyra's eyes widened with awe. "It is beautiful," she whispered. Alex smiled at her wonder. "Even here, life finds a way. That's something you can always rely on. Resilience. No matter how cold or harsh a world is, some spark survives." Lyra nodded, absorbing every word. She was learning not just about survival, but about human strength, about the courage and determination that humans carried, even in the most impossible circumstances. They reached a shallow valley where the wind was slightly less harsh. Here Alex noticed something strange. Tracks in the snow. Not animal tracks, but footprints, too human to be natural. He signaled Lyra to stop and crouched down to inspect them. "They're fresh," he said quietly. "Someone passed this way recently. Could be friendly, or not." Lyra's large eyes narrowed. "Do we follow them? Or avoid them?" Alex thought for a moment. "We need information, but we also need safety. We'll follow from a distance. Stay quiet, stay alert." They moved carefully, following the footprints across the valley. After an hour, they came to a small cluster of structures, more intact than the last shelter and clearly inhabited. Smoke rose from a chimney, and faint voices carried through the air. Lyra looked at Alex nervously. "Are they humans?" she whispered. "I think so," Alex replied. "We'll find out soon." They approached slowly, keeping low. As they neared, a figure stepped out of the building, a tall human man wearing a heavy coat and carrying some kind of tool. He froze when he saw them, raising a hand in cautious greeting. "Hey, are you two lost?" the man called. Alex stepped forward. "We're looking for shelter and safety. Can you help?" The man's expression softened. "You're lucky. The storm last night buried most of the paths. Come inside. We have food, warmth, and a place to rest." Lyra's face lit up with relief. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with genuine gratitude. Inside, the group was welcoming. There were a few other humans, and all of them were busy preparing for the cold. Alex and Lyra were offered warm food and clean water. Lyra sat quietly, absorbing the environment. It was the first time she had felt truly safe since arriving on the planet. Over dinner, Alex explained their journey. The humans listened carefully, impressed by their survival in such harsh conditions. Lyra spoke little at first, observing the group, but gradually she joined in, sharing small details about her world. Her curiosity sparked interest among the others. By the end of the meal, a sense of community had formed. Lyra realized that humans were capable of incredible resilience, not just individually, but as a group. Alex observed her transformation, noting how she had changed from fearful and fragile to cautious but determined. Later, as the night settled in, Alex and Lyra sat near the warmth of the fire. Lyra finally spoke, almost to herself. "I never imagined a human could be so kind, so brave." Alex looked at her, a faint smile on his lips. "Humans are strong in ways you might not understand yet. But you've shown strength too. You've survived, adapted, and kept going. That's worth more than any technology or weapon out here." Lyra looked up at him, eyes reflecting the firelight. I want to be strong like that. I want to survive, not just because of you, but because I can." Alex nodded. "That's the spirit. Together we'll face whatever comes next. This planet. It's harsh, but it can't break us." Outside, the wind continued to blow, cold and relentless, but inside there was warmth, hope, and a bond forming between human and alien. Both knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, Lyra felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Confidence. And Alex felt something he hadn't expected either. A quiet respect for this alien who, despite everything, refused to give up. Together, they would continue, facing the frozen world with courage, resilience, and the slowly growing trust that humans could inspire even in the most alien of companions. The settlement was small but alive with human activity. Smoke curled from chimneys, and the faint hum of generators created a rhythm that made the cold world outside feel distant. Alex and Lyra had spent the night in the warmth of the main building, and the morning light brought with it a sense of purpose. Today they would continue their journey toward the central safe zone, a larger human settlement that promised resources, communication, and relative safety. Alex stood outside, adjusting the straps on his pack, his eyes scanning the frozen horizon. Lyra stepped beside him, her breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. She had grown accustomed to the cold, her alien physiology adjusting slightly with each passing day, but she still shivered occasionally. "You're ready?" Alex asked. Lyra nodded firmly. "I am. I feel stronger today." Alex smiled, impressed. Each day she seemed more resilient, more confident. The way she adapted to the harsh conditions reminded him why humans had survived in so many unforgiving environments. It wasn't just strength, it was determination, ingenuity, and trust in one another. Lyra was learning that quickly. They set off together, leaving the settlement behind. The snow stretched endlessly, but the tracks of the previous day gave them guidance. Alex led carefully, choosing paths that appeared stable while keeping an eye out for hidden dangers. The snow occasionally gave way to patches of frozen ice, revealing deep crevices beneath. One misstep could have disastrous consequences. Lyra followed closely, studying his movements, learning to judge the snow and ice like he did. She spoke little at first, conserving energy, but her eyes were alert, taking in every detail. Hours passed. The sun rose higher, though it provided little warmth. Alex noticed that Lyra's curiosity began to emerge again, despite the harsh conditions. She pointed out odd crystal formations jutting from the snow, their surfaces reflecting light in dazzling patterns. "Why do these grow?" she asked. Alex considered it. The planet has its own rules. Life here adapts in ways we don't fully understand. That's one of the things that makes it dangerous and fascinating. Even in the cold, even in the snow, things survive. Lyra's gaze lingered on the crystals, her eyes sparkling. Even small things can be strong, if they adapt. Exactly, Alex said. Strength isn't always about size or power. Sometimes it's about endurance, learning, and surviving when everything is against you. As the day wore on, they encountered a shallow canyon. The walls were steep and jagged, ice covering sharp edges. Crossing it would be difficult, but Alex knew it was the fastest route to the safe zone. "We'll need to be careful here," he warned. "One wrong step and we could fall." Lyra's eyes widened, but she nodded. "I trust you." Alex set the pace, testing footholds and making sure each step was secure before moving. Lyra followed, her movements deliberate, her trust in him evident. For the first time, Alex felt that she wasn't just a passenger in this journey. She was a companion, learning, adapting, and surviving alongside him. Halfway through the canyon, a sudden crack echoed through the walls. A small sheet of ice had broken loose, sliding down toward them. Alex reacted instantly, pushing Lyra behind him. The ice struck the snow just past them, spraying sharp fragments into the air. Lyra's heart raced, but she didn't panic. She looked at Alex, who was checking the stability of the path ahead. "Are you okay?" he asked. Lyra nodded, shaking slightly. "Yes, thanks to you." Alex smiled faintly. "Keep moving. Don't let fear stop you. That's how you survive here." They pressed on, eventually reaching the other side. The canyon opened into a plateau, and from there, the safe zone was visible in the distance. A cluster of domes and buildings larger than the previous settlement glinted under the weak sun. Smoke and faint lights indicated activity. People were alive, thriving despite the cold. Lyra's expression softened. We can make it," she said, almost in disbelief. Alex nodded. "We will, but there's still a journey ahead. This planet doesn't make it easy. Every step tests us." As they moved across the plateau, Lyra began to speak more freely. She shared details of her world, vast, warm landscapes with strange flora and skies unlike any Alex had seen. Alex listened, fascinated. She spoke not with pride, but with wonder, and he could see how much she valued learning and exploration. "You've been through a lot," Alex said quietly, "and yet, you're still curious. That's what makes you strong." Lyra looked at him, eyes reflecting the icy landscape. "I want to survive, not just for myself, but to learn, to understand, to be useful. I don't want to be helpless." Alex felt a quiet admiration. That determination, so alien yet so human in its essence, was what made people remarkable. Strength wasn't always physical. It was courage, intelligence, adaptability. Lyra embodied all of it. By evening, they reached a frozen river, a wide stretch of ice that blocked their path. Alex examined it carefully. The ice looked solid, but there were cracks that could give way. Crossing would be risky, but going around would take hours. "Stay close to me," Alex instructed. "Step where I step. Don't rush." Lyra nodded, trusting him completely. Step by step, they moved across the frozen river. The ice groaned beneath their weight, a low sound that made Lyra's stomach tighten. Alex noticed her hesitation but didn't falter. His calm presence reassured her, giving her confidence. Halfway across, a crack appeared nearby, spreading rapidly. Alex grabbed Lyra's hand, pulling her toward a safer section. The ice cracked again, but they made it to the far side, hearts racing, lungs burning in the cold. Lyra exhaled heavily. "I thought we might not make it," she admitted. Alex placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did great. You stayed calm, followed instructions, and adapted. That's what survival is." They camped nearby for the night, using a small ridge for shelter against the wind. Alex built a small fire with supplies, and Lyra sat close, absorbing the warmth. She began to talk more openly, asking questions about human survival strategies, tools, and life beyond this planet. Alex answered patiently, explaining not just methods, but philosophy. Humans survive because we think ahead. We adapt, we work together. Strength isn't just about fighting. It's about learning, observing, and making decisions that keep you alive. Lyra listened intently. "I see that now. I've never considered survival like this. My world We relied on comfort, resources always available. Here, I must depend on instinct and guidance. I am learning, Alex smiled. And you're doing it well. That's why you're still here. As night deepened, the temperature dropped further. Lyra shivered despite her growing endurance. Alex moved closer, offering his thermal blanket. She accepted without hesitation, the trust between them evident. You know, she said softly, I never expected humans to be so compassionate. Brave, yes, but also kind. You make me feel safe. Alex considered her words. Humans are capable of great courage. But what matters is what you do with it. You've shown courage too. You've survived in a world that could have ended you in hours. That's remarkable. Lyra's eyes glimmered with gratitude. I want to be strong. Not just for me, but for others. I want to protect, to help, to survive with purpose, Alex nodded. That's the right way to think. Strength is more than physical. It's about endurance, courage, and making choices that matter. You're learning that well. Morning arrived and the safe zone was closer now, visible as domes and buildings glimmering in the distance. Alex and Lyra packed up, ready to make the final approach. The snow was shallower here, but danger still lingered. Hidden ice patches, sudden wind gusts, and the unknown. Step by step, they approached the settlement. Lyra's confidence had grown remarkably in just a few days. She moved with purpose, eyes alert, mind calculating risks and adapting to the environment. Alex felt pride not just in her survival, but in her transformation. She was no longer just a fragile traveler. She was a capable companion, learning human resilience in the harshest conditions. As they neared the entrance to the safe zone, guards noticed them and waved. Alex called out, explaining their situation. Within minutes, they were welcomed into warmth, food, and safety. Lyra's eyes reflected relief and awe as she looked around at the bustling human activity. Alex watched her carefully. This place represented not just safety, but recognition of their journey. She had survived, adapted, and grown. Her alien mind had learned the strength inherent in humans, the courage, the resourcefulness, and the will to survive. Lyra turned to Alex. I did it, we did it, Alex smiled. Yes, together, and this is just the beginning. There's more to learn, more to experience, and you'll continue to grow stronger. That's what humans inspire in others. The will to overcome no matter the world. For the first time, Lyra felt truly confident. She had survived a frozen alien planet, navigated dangers beyond imagination, and discovered the remarkable strength of humanity. Not just in Alex, but in herself. And Alex, watching her transformation, realized that this journey was more than survival. It was about connection, trust, and the power of humans to inspire courage, endurance, and hope, even in the most alien and dangerous worlds. Together, they had crossed the frozen wasteland, faced death, adapted to every challenge, and arrived at a place of safety. But both knew this was only the beginning. The world was vast, harsh, and full of unknowns, and they would face it as a team, human and alien, learning from each other, surviving together, and discovering that strength, courage, and resilience could. The safe zone was alive with activity. People moved about purposefully, carrying supplies, repairing buildings, and preparing for the next harsh cycle of weather. Alex and Lyra had spent the previous night there, resting and recovering from their journey. The warmth, the lights, the sense of human organization. It was all foreign to Lyra, yet comforting. She walked beside Alex through the central area, her eyes wide with curiosity. Humans, you are very organized, she said, marveling at the system. Even in harsh environments you work together, Alex smiled. It's survival. Cooperation is as important as strength. A human alone might struggle, but together, we achieve more. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. I see that. In my world, we rarely depended on others. We relied on what we could control. Here, and I understand now, trust is a tool, as important as skill or strength. Alex watched her carefully, noticing how she had changed since the first night in the snow. Her fear was gone, replaced with focus and curiosity. She was learning quickly, not just about survival, but about what made humans remarkable. Their resilience wasn't just physical, it was mental, emotional, and communal. They approached a group of engineers repairing a damaged energy shield. Sparks flew as they welded and adjusted equipment. Alex gestured to one of the engineers. We could help here, he suggested. Lyra tilted her head. Help? I can try, but I have no experience. Alex shook his head. It doesn't matter. Observation and willingness to learn are often more valuable than experience. Watch first, then act. You'll pick it up. She hesitated, but the opportunity to learn appealed to her. Together they approached the team, and Lyra watched closely as they worked. The engineers spoke in short, precise sentences, but Alex translated their actions for her, explaining each tool and process. Lyra's eyes lit up as she began to understand. Slowly, she picked up small tasks, handing tools, securing panels, and learning basic adjustments. She stumbled a few times, but Alex's calm guidance encouraged her. "Mistakes are part of learning," he said gently. "Every human who mastered something started with errors. It's how you improve." By midday, Lyra was contributing meaningfully. Her alien dexterity and sharp perception allowed her to notice small details the humans overlooked. Alex watched proudly. She wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. During a short break, Lyra turned to Alex. "I never imagined humans could be so patient. You guide, teach, and protect, yet you never rush. That is different from my world. I want to understand it fully." Alex shrugged lightly. "It's part of survival. Impulsive actions get people killed. Patience, observation, and adaptation, those are the real strengths of humans. You've learned them quickly." Lyra's smile was faint but sincere. "I got what I'm learning. Because of you." The afternoon brought new challenges. A sudden storm appeared on the horizon, dark clouds swirling with unnatural speed. The wind picked up and a thin layer of ice formed on the ground. The engineers scrambled to secure equipment, and Alex knew that the storm would test them all. "Lyra, stay close," he called, grabbing her arm gently. "This is a real test. Keep your focus, follow instructions, and adapt." She nodded, her expression serious. "I am ready." The storm hit with sudden intensity. Snow and ice blew sideways, reducing visibility almost to zero. Alex guided Lyra through the chaos, moving from structure to structure, checking on the engineers and helping secure vital equipment. The cold was intense, but Alex's experience and calm presence allowed him to anticipate dangers and keep both of them safe. Lyra followed his movements closely. She began predicting his actions, learning to move efficiently, brace against the wind, and respond to sudden threats. Her alien physiology helped, but it was her observation and willingness to learn that impressed Alex. She was adapting like a human, using logic, focus, and trust to survive. Hours passed, and the storm began to abate. The sky cleared to a faint, pale glow. Everyone in the safe zone emerged cautiously, assessing the damage. Equipment had been slightly damaged, but no one was seriously hurt. Alex and Lyra had contributed significantly, ensuring that critical systems remained operational. Lyra exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. "I did it. I survived, and I helped," Alex smiled. "Exactly. That's what humans do. We survive, and we find ways to improve. You're becoming stronger, more capable every day." As night fell, the safe zone lit up like a small starfield against the dark, frozen world. People gathered around fires, shared meals, and discussed plans for the next day. Alex and Lyra sat together, observing the communal warmth. Lyra spoke softly. This is remarkable. Humans are resilient, yes, but also kind. You protect, teach, and guide without expecting reward. That inspires me. I want to be like that." Alex looked at her thoughtfully. "Strength isn't about dominance or force. It's about endurance, courage, and helping others. You've shown all of that. You inspire humans too. Your curiosity, adaptation, and courage are remarkable." Lyra's eyes reflected the firelight, bright and determined. "I want to continue learning. I want to survive, not just for myself, but to contribute, to help, to protect, to be useful." Alex nodded. "That's the right mindset. Humans survive through cooperation, trust, and persistence. You've embraced all three. That's why you're still here." The following morning brought a new challenge. Scouts reported that a nearby ridge essential for their next supply route had collapsed. The only path available was narrow, treacherous, and exposed to the harsh wind. Alex examined it carefully. "We'll need to move carefully," he said. "One mistake and we could fall. But it's manageable if we stay focused." Lyra listened intently, absorbing every detail. I understand. Step by step, follow instructions, adapt." They began the crossing, Alex leading and Lyra following closely. The wind howled, biting at exposed skin, and the ice beneath their feet was slippery. Each step required precision. Lyra's confidence had grown, and she moved with purpose. trusting Alex's guidance while also thinking ahead. Halfway across, a loose section of ice cracked beneath her foot. Alex reacted instantly, grabbing her hand and pulling her to safety. Focus, Lyra, don't let fear control you. Assess, adapt, and act. Her pulse raced, but she nodded. I understand, I trust you, they continued, reaching the far side safely. Lyra exhaled heavily, but there was a glint of pride in her eyes. She was no longer just surviving. She was thriving under extreme conditions, learning human resilience and applying it instinctively. Later, they returned to the safe zone, exhausted but accomplished. The engineers praised Lyra for her adaptability and quick learning. Alex nodded, quietly proud of how far she had come in just a few days. That night, near the communal fires, Lyra spoke softly to Alex. I never imagined I could survive so much, but with guidance, with trust, I have grown stronger. I understand human strength now. It is not just physical. It is will, courage, and the desire to endure. I want to continue learning, to continue growing. Alex smiled. You already have. You've shown courage, focus, and adaptability. That's the essence of human strength. You inspire it in others, too. Your courage reminds us why we survive. Lyra looked at him with gratitude and determination. Then I will continue. I will survive. I will help. I will endure, not just for myself, but for those who trust me. For you. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction. She was no longer a frightened alien struggling to survive. She was a capable, resilient being, learning human principles of endurance, courage, and trust and applying them naturally. Her journey had become a testament to the power of humanity, its ability to inspire strength and resilience even in the most alien companions. As the fire burned, Lyra leaned slightly toward Alex, not out of fear or need, but trust. They had faced storms, ice, and danger together. They had survived, adapted, and grown stronger. And in the process, both had learned that courage, endurance, and the desire to protect and guide others were not just human traits. They were universal strengths that could bridge worlds. Outside, the frozen winds howled, but inside, warmth, trust, and determination thrived. Together, Alex and Lyra prepared for the next stage of their journey, ready to face whatever challenges the harsh planet would present, confident in their abilities and their bond. The human spirit had inspired resilience in an alien mind. The alien had learned courage, trust, and adaptability from humans, and together they would continue, proving that survival, endurance, and growth were the marks of true strength, whether human or alien, in even the harshest worlds.